Welcome class. As discussed in the last lecture, we would be talking about collection of water samples for bacteriological testing. Then we would be talking about the waterborne diseases and their preventive measures. Right. Now, let me make one thing very clear. The water has to be examined physically, chemically, and biologically. Has to be made potable so as allow the public to drink. The potable water means that water is safe for drinking purposes, safe in all the respect, right? Now, where will we collect the water samples from for bacteriological testing? You would collect the water samples from taps in your own house. You can collect water samples from the taps installed by the government in your areas so as to allow a common man to drink water, to store water for washing, cleaning, and several other purposes. While collecting the water samples, there is a set of procedure, a way to collect the water samples so that nothing but the water which has to be examined for bacteriological testing is collected. Nothing, absolutely nothing comes in contact with the water sample except the sample itself. Now to start with, you would be needing a sterile bottle for collection of water samples. What do we mean by sterile bottle? A sterile bottle means that that particular bottle does not contain any bacteria or any other contamination source which may affect your final reading, right? You would get these sterile bottles from the labs. I would give an example. You go to any pathological lab also and you ask for a sterile bottle for the collection of say blood sample or urine sample, whatever. So they'll give you a sterile bottle properly sealed, right? Then the next step would be, as I told you, that be very careful so that nothing and absolutely nothing except the water to be analyzed comes in contact with the inside of the bottle. That means, I mean, it's a very simple procedure, like you must be filling the water from your AquaGuard or RO machines. So the water which comes out from that machine or water that comes out from the tap which has to be collected for testing purposes, it should go directly inside the bottle and it should not come in contact with anything else, right? Generally, a very common feature is the tap is found leaking. If a tap is found leaking, then a different sampling point should be chosen. Now why? I'll tell you. The waterborne diseases are caused by the contamination of water. If there is an open source of water, it will become a breeding place for the mosquitoes or insects. If a tap is leaking, so that becomes a source of breeding for mosquitoes, insects, and water, the carriers of diseases, waterborne diseases. As soon as you collect water from that particular point or tap where the water is leaking, then it might happen that along with the tap water, the water which is contaminated or which is has become a breeding place for mosquitoes also come along with the water and you collect it as a sample. So never take a sampling point where the tap is found leaking, right? Then if the sampling point is okay, that is the tap is not leaking, clean and dry the outside of the tap with sterile paper before taking the sample. That means you have to make that tap sterile, clear of all the germs and bacteria, everything. So that when you open the tap and collect the water sample, only the water comes out. Allow the water to run for at least half a minute before collecting the samples. You open the tap, allow the water to run for at least half a minute, and then you collect the sample. The simple reason is the pipe line has some water in it that is stagnant maybe for some time. So for our testing purposes, we don't want a stagnant water sample, we want a running water. So that is why just open the tap for half a minute and you collect the sample, right? After that. Next, while filling the bottle must be held properly so that no water that comes in contact with the hand enters into the bottle. As I told you, the essence is the water should directly go inside the sterile water and it should not flow out or come in contact with the hand and that same water goes through in the bottle. Collected sample must be handed immediately to the laboratory for examination. This is an absolute must. And ideally, it should be like this, but then this collected sample should be handed within 24 hours of the collection and given to the laboratory for bacteriological examination. Then, last but not least, sufficient number of samples must be collected so as to represent a sufficient average value, right? You know why the sufficient number of samples has to be collected? Because you would not collect a sample from just one sample and make a statement about it. If the sample is okay, it doesn't ensure that the water being supplied to that area is potable. You need to collect sufficient number of samples and mark them accordingly and analyze them the sampling point wise. It will give you an idea that which sample is contaminated or not, because a particular tap would be serving a limited number of the population. So you would get an idea about that. Secondly, you would get an average value also, which is important. Look, the more the data you have, the more precise your statement can be. So it is very important to have sufficient number of data, sufficient number of samples for a good opinion about the results, right? Next we come to the waterborne diseases. Oh, this is very important. First of all, disease is caused by bacterial infections. Bacterial infection means caused by bacteria. So you've got typhoid and paratyphoid fever. This is caused by Salmonella typhi bacteria. The next in line is cholera, caused by Vibrio choleraria bacteria. Then you have bacillary dysentery, caused by Shiga bacteria or Flexner bacteria or Sonne bacteria, right? Now you can see the types of diseases caused by bacterial infections, by bacteria, caused by viral infections, caused by protozoal infections. Then comes the diseases caused by viral infections. Infectious hepatitis or infectious jaundice caused by hepatitis virus. Polio we generally caused by polio virus. Diseases caused by protozoal infections like amoebic dysentery caused by Entamoeba histolytica. You must have heard it. It's a germ. Now, if you clearly see these things and just imagine what a particular virus can render to the human health, you will be shocked. Think about polio. There was a time when polio was very abundant in a country like India, developing country like India. After the polio vaccine, polio drops we got, when a young born is delivered a polio drops regularly, then it ensures that the newly born babies won't be affected by polio. Because what is polio actually? Polio means you would be crippled by your legs, you won't be able to walk. Just imagine a simple virus causing such amount of damage to human health. These are all waterborne. Infectious hepatitis or jaundice. Jaundice makes your liver weak. Several number of deaths have been reported by infectious hepatitis. Till today also, mature people of the age group of 30s and 40s, I have the example, who have been affected by hepatitis. That means this particular thing would affect any age group, and the only cause is drinking unsafe water. Because it is transmitted to water only. And it's a waterborne disease. Cholera, dysentery, typhoid and paratyphoid fever. I don't know how much you know about the typhoid, but let me tell you one thing. It has a fixed pattern. You may get fever in the morning and you will be okay by evening. Again, the next morning you might be feverish, and by the evening you will be okay. There are specific tests for it. You may be cured with a medicine dose of say 2 weeks, but you know what? The precaution which you need post typhoid fever is huge. You might be taking precautions with regards to your food for several months, with regards to your intake of water for several months, right? So this is very dangerous, very dangerous. Dysentery. It's actually these bacteria, virus, protozoas, they all affect your stomach. Stomach. And maybe dysentery is one of the examples for this. Bacillary dysentery is an example. In all the cases of waterborne diseases, whether it is caused by bacterial infections, caused by viral infections, or caused by protozoal infections, one has to be very, very cautious. They are life-threatening, and there will be loss of health and might take several months to recover the same, just caused by unsafe water which is being taken by the individual. So this I hope must be an information and a thing of knowledge to you all. So guys, I hope you will take care whenever you will drink water outside. That is why people prefer taking water to their place, to their workplace, water from their home to their workplace, right? Now, what are the preventive measures? Look, one thing is taken that these diseases are caused by stagnant water. And if this water is being supplied for drinking purposes to the public, then it might spread in the community. So what are the preventive measures? Water supply must be checked and disinfected before supplying to the public. Now, how will you check the water supply? You've got water treatment plant. The water is completely treated. Now this water is being pumped through the distribution system, main pipeline, which goes from the water treatment plant to the various localities. The water at inlet and outlet should be checked and should be disinfected before supplying to the public. Look, water would be treated for suspended and dissolved particles. It would be treated for hardness. It would be treated for bacterial, from bacterial point of view. Once the water is being treated, the hardness is controlled, the water has been made potable with regards to the removal of the suspended or dissolved solids, with regards to the taste, odor, color. So when this water reaches to the distribution point, that is, जो आपके एरिया में जो स्टोरेज रिजर्वायर है, जो पानी की टंकी है, जब वो वहाँ पे आता है, तो वहाँ पर भी इसकी चेकिंग होनी चाहिए, होती है. The water is being checked and a small dose of disinfectant is added to that water, right? The common disinfectant is chlorine, which can be supplied to the raw water or to the treated water in the form of chlorine tablets, chlorine gas, liquid chlorine, whatever. We'll study in detail when we'll talk about the disinfection of the water. Second, The water pipeline should be frequently tested, checked, and inspected for any leakage. Now, होता क्या है कि वो स्टोरेज रिजर्वायर जो पानी की टंकी आप कहते हो वहां से पानी पाइप्स के थ्रू डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होता है डिफरेंट हाउस होल्ड्स में, डिफरेंट टैप्स में जो कि इंस्टॉल्ड है बाय दी जल निगम फॉर कॉमन पब्लिक ऑन रोड्स, राइट? So this pipeline should be frequent. These water pipelines should be frequently tested, checked and inspected for any leakage. अगर कोई भी लीकेज है तो there is bound to be a contamination in that water. So all our effort fails if potable water is coming in contact with the infection. अगर आपका जो पोर्टेबल वाटर जो आपके घर तक आ रहा है बीच में अगर पाइप लीकेज की वजह से वो कंटामिनेट होता है, उसमें इन्फेक्शन आता है. So all our effort to treat water and supply potable water to the households, all the effort goes waste. So the pipeline should be frequently tested, checked, and inspected also, right? Then, in case of slightest doubt, especially during rains, extra chlorine dose should be added. I told you that chlorine as a disinfectant. It kills all the pathogens. It's a very, very effective disinfectant, and it is the commonly used disinfectant. During rains, you might see your roads, your drains clogged with water. All the garbage and everything floats on the roads and your drains. This is the breeding ground for the mosquitoes and germs, virus, and all the water carrying virus and bacteria. If this water comes into contact with your potable water due to any leakage in the water pipeline, then the water gets contaminated, and if anyone thinks that water, he or she is bound to get waterborne disease. So in case of slightest doubt, especially during rainy seasons, extra chlorine dose should be added so as to remove any possibility of the bacteria and viruses, right? Next, people should be advised to eat hot, fresh foods. Why do people say that eat hot and fresh foods? Because the hot foods won't allow any bacteria, they will kill the bacteria. If you eat stale and cold food, you might get infected. You might catch any disease. That is why people are always advised to eat hot and fresh foods. General habits of cleanliness should be inculcated among the people. Habits of hygiene, cleanliness, like washing your hands before having your meal, washing your hand after having your meal, clean your house, clean your surroundings, clean. These are all the general habits of cleanliness. People should be taught all the general habits of cleanliness. That is why you must remember that there might have been a subject like hygiene in your smaller classes. So these are the general habits, cleanliness and hygiene, and these should be taught and people should be made educated with regards to all this. Like for example, we are going through a phase in life when COVID-19 has taken a toll of a lot of things. We are all confined to our houses. We are bound to wear masks, use sanitizers, wash our hands, clean ourselves, clean our clothes. We avoid getting into contact with the things which are exposed to the public. Avoid getting in touch with the general public. Maintaining safe distance. Now, these are the general habits of cleanliness. You must be surprised to know that the people in Japan wear masks as a routine. Then, the fly nuisance in the city should be checked and reduced. Fly, generally, you must have observed that if you have a cut or a wound on your body or say in your hand or on your leg, then somehow or the other the flies do get attracted to that wound if that wound is open. Now, this is why they are the carriers of the diseases. If you eat open food, a food that has been kept in open for some time and have flies and mosquitoes around it, you might it is quite possible that you might catch a disease. So that is why it was suggested that and advised that you should eat hot and fresh food because flies do not come near hot foods. So in this particular point, fly nuisance in the city should be checked and reduced. In fact, eradicated if possible. You should maintain such amount of hygiene in your house, around your house, in your colonies, in your city, that this particular fly nuisance is eradicated. Then, as soon as any case of the disease is reported, the people should be immunized against that disease. I'll give you two examples. I'll first elaborate this point. अगर किसी को डिजीज हो जाती है तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल द पीपल अराउंड देम शुड बी removed. He should be isolated. Only one or two persons should be allowed to visit him. That too with proper covering with regards to mask, gloves, clothing, and everything. And he should be administered the medicine. He should be given warm water. The public around him, people around him should be immunized against that disease so as to stop spreading the disease. Now I will take an example of COVID-19, which we are all going through. If a vaccine regarding COVID-19 is being developed, what would an individual do? If suppose there is a case in any locality and there is a vaccine for COVID-19, patient would be treated, no doubt about it, but the people living around him or her will be immunized against COVID-19 by administering them the vaccine. Isn't it so? Yes, it is. Because this is a normal process. So the same preventive measure is to be adopted in case of the waterborne disease as well. You need to immunize the people who were near or around that reported person who was the carrier of the disease. and they should be immunized, right? So these are the general measures, preventive measures which should be taken so as to avoid the waterborne diseases, right? So class, what have we studied today? We have studied the procedure point-wise, the method of collection of water samples for bacteriological testing. And we have understood the essence of each and every point, right? Then we did talk about the waterborne diseases caused by bacterial infections, caused by viral infections, caused by protozoal infections, and we have understood the gravity of all the diseases that is being caused by that are the waterborne diseases, right? Then we have gone through the preventive measures, the methods so as to stop or avoid the spread of waterborne diseases in the community. There is a role for an individual and for the authorities, both of them. The authorities need to check the water supply, disinfect before supplying to the public. The authorities need to inspect the test and check the water pipeline for any leakage. In case of slightest doubt, extra chlorine dose should be added by the authority, by the officials. Then comes the individual point. The individuals should be advised to eat hot and fresh foods. The public should be taught the habits of cleanliness and should be made aware of all this. The fly nuisance in the city should be checked and reduced. This is the authority part, and then as soon as any case is reported, people should be immunized against that disease. This is the point in which both authorities and individuals play a part. So I hope that you must have understood the process of collecting the water sample, the waterborne diseases, and the preventive measures. Thank you, class. This was the end to the module 1 of your syllabus. For any particular doubts or queries, please feel free to contact and get in touch. Thank you.